So every jail, every prison, every detention center, they've all got programs, and that's good. They've got chapel, they've got GEDs, behavioral change programs, programs for programs. So why do people keep going back? Well, I'll tell you why, and I know because I was on the inside when I figured it out. Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jason. I'm the founder and CEO of Behind Bars Blueprint, an organization designed to help individuals and their families navigate the entire incarceration process from beginning to end and even beyond. It's not something that ends, it's something that you maintain even after you're released. Today we're going to talk about something that is very, very intuitive. It's something that people don't really think about a lot of the times, and that is if there are so many programs that are offered by so many different organizations, so many different entities, so many different groups, why do people still keep going back at a pretty alarming rate? The answer is pretty simple, but often overlooked. Let's jump in. So as I like to say, I was a guest of the state for 3 years, and out of those 3 years, I spent 2 of them in the Plus program. I went through both tracks. I went through the faith-based and then the character-based. And about 6 months into my first track through, which was on the faith-based side, I was not just a student. I started becoming a teacher. I started getting ideas for this program, for Behind Bars Blueprint, because I could see what was happening. I could actually watch what was going on. And what was happening is everyone would go to chapel, you'd go to your programs, you'd go to take whatever class you were supposed to take that day. And then what happens in the next 18 hours? You see, people rarely ever got themselves in trouble while they were taking a class. They rarely got themselves in trouble while they were working on part of the program or the system or the curriculum. They got in trouble on the times in between. And that's where the idea and the concept of this came is, boy, we're not losing people while they're engaged, we're losing people while they're not. You see, the programming is not the problem. It's the gaps in between that's the problem. And this is all across the incarceration cycle. It is when you're inside, obviously, you've got you can take vocations in a lot of prisons. Not so much jails, but definitely prisons. But regardless, whether it's a class, it's a vocation, whatever it is you're working with, what happens in the downtime? I've always said, and I say this because I've seen it, a bored inmate is a dangerous inmate. A bored inmate is a troublesome inmate. And that's not something that staff wants, and that shouldn't be something that other inmates want, and shouldn't be something you want for yourself. So we're not missing people because of programs, we're missing people because of the lack of time spent in between the programs. And that's where we want to dial in with this particular program, because this goes in even after you're released. Okay, you might be court ordered to take some type of classes. That's great. Okay, but what happens in between time? Well, I'm on house arrest. Well, talk about boring, but it's something you have to do. What do you work on? That's what this program does. It's something that you can work on in between. You can take whatever you want. It integrates with whatever is going on in your particular part of the incarceration process, whether that's you're still inside, whether that's you're getting ready to go, whether that's you're out and you're on parole, probation, or you're completely off of everything, but you still need direction. There's something for all of that, and that's where we're trying to hit with this is every single point where there's a gap, that's where this slots in. Once I picked up on this and I started really dialing in and finding out exactly and watching firsthand where a lot of these gaps were taking place, that's where I started to do something about it. It wasn't journaling. I started writing, but it wasn't journaling. I was observing. I was taking notes. I was building a framework, and I knew that I had to do something that was more substantial in the between times. And it was something that still had to make sense. It had to make sense for the facility, the prison, whatever, and it had to make sense for the inmate. It's one of those things where if one or the other has no buy-in, then it's dead on arrival. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be able to say, hey, look, let's figure out something that works for both sides. The last thing that administration wants, correctional staff want, are troublesome inmates. The last thing that other inmates want are to deal with other troublesome inmates. And I keep saying, the last thing an inmate himself should ever want is to be troublesome. That's what got you there in the first place. So that's what this is designed to do. It fills in these gaps, and it did so systematically. And the chaplains were very, very nice. I came to them and presented the idea to them, and they jumped right away. They said, hey, sounds great, give it a shot. So what exactly is B3? Well, it's a workbook series. It's 5 workbooks, depending on where you're at in your journey. It's a comprehensive, across the board, easy to follow You can use it in a group. It can be group led by a volunteer or staff member, or you can run it all by yourself. And you can bookmark, you can reference, there's a table of contents in the front. But when you're done with it, you want to treat it as a reference guide. You want to treat it as something where it's almost like a survival manual for that particular stage that you're in. And then when you get ready to move, okay, I'm getting ready to get released, and I have finished book 2, which is Life Inside Prison, teaches you how to do prison and do it well. Keeps you from making mistakes that could be costly. You get that all done. And then there's a part of that book where it kind of starts prepping you for the outside. But then we have a book called Returning Home. And that book is you start working on that, and you can work on that right before release and then after you get out. One of the first things that's in that book is, what do you do in the first 72 hours? What's the most important thing to do in the first 72 hours? I have seen, again, firsthand, people just, and again, this is not an indictment on the system, but it is what it is. I've seen it firsthand. Just get dropped off in downtown Indianapolis with nothing but the clothes on their back. You got to know what to do. You got to have an idea. And if you can get some of this situated and prepared before you're released, it's going to make that moment much, much more bearable. And if you don't know what to do, if that happens to you, well, at least now you've got a plan, because the first 72 hours are critical. A lot of times it'll set the stage, it'll set the tone for what's going to happen the rest of the time when you're out. So if you work in corrections or community corrections, prisons, reentry groups, faith-based, whatever it could be, chaplaincy, I built this for the people that you serve. I built this to reach the people that you serve each and every day. And sometimes I know that can be overwhelming and it gets lost in the shuffle. This is something that it's very low cost. It does not take technology. It doesn't take a lot of training. To be honest, it's something that is very, again, intuitive. You can just simply hand this out if you wanted to. You could just give this to perhaps a class or a group or the Plus program or whatever you're looking at. But it's very staff light. It does not take a tremendous amount of involvement from the staff. Just simply hand these out. Everything else is explained in there. And it's designed to serve the people that we serve, that you serve. And hopefully in the process, it also helps you as well. It helps your environment. It helps your peace of mind as well. So I've got the link in the bio, guys. Please check out the website, www.behindbarsblueprint.com. I do these videos every 2 weeks. I'm trying to help get this information out there, that get to understand that there's a lot of, especially local level, but I'm seeing more and more on the state level as well, where people are looking for a curriculum that is comprehensive, that fills these gaps and bridges these chasms that are created where we lose a lot of people. And again, think of it this way. Everyone that falls in the gap, you're going to see again. And you shouldn't want that. And I know you don't, because it's more time, it's more work, it's more frustration. So let's give them something that they can use, something that they can fill that time, that space in between. And hopefully you see less and less of the people that you see the first time through.